Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Now, I thought tonight's Raw, it was an enjoyable show. It was a decent show. I'd say it was much better than last week's show, and a lot much better than last night's shitty Battleground pay-per-view. But it was, like I said, it was an enjoyable show. It was decent. Really enjoyed some of the stuff that happened on tonight's show. So they were in Washington D.C. tonight. So let's get started with the review. And the show opened up with Kurt Angle coming out. He was welcoming the crowd to Monday Night Raw. He says for the past months, he addresses the whole private matter that he says that it's been taking up his time as being Raw GM. And he said he was nervous about last week introducing, his illegitimate son, Jason Jordan. And he also announces that Jason will be having his first match tonight. Braun Strowman ends up coming out telling Curt that, Curt's next words better be, his name or else. And he says he doesn't fear Brock Lesnar, and, Lesnar, and that Lesnar fears him. And he also says that at SummerSlam he's going to break Lesnar in half and become the Universal Champion. Out comes Samoa Joe, saying that he and Braun never crossed paths, and he introduces himself to Braun, and he tells him that he doesn't fear Brock Lesnar or him. Joe doesn't fear Strowman. And then Joe ends up telling Curt that he must give Lesnar to him. Roman Reigns ends up coming out saying that Joe and Braun hasn't done anything here, and Roman is about to do something. And then Curt ends up making a match that at SummerSlam it's going to be a fatal four-way for the Universal title. So it's going to be Joe versus Roman versus Strowman versus Lesnar, and it's going to be a fatal four-way for the title. And then as Kurt Angle leaves the ring, Joe is not happy about that news, and Braun says that he doesn't care, he just wants to pile bodies. And then Roman ends up telling Strowman to shut up, and both Joe and Roman attack Braun, and he throws him into the crowd. And then Joe and Roman end up starting to go after each other, start punching the hell out of, they both start punching the hell out of each other. Braun ends up getting back up, and he clotheslines Joe, and he knocks Roman into the post. Kurt Angle ends up sending out security, and then Braun just starts taking them all out. Braun actually ends up throwing one of the security guards over the top rope, and it was just a crazy throw that Braun did. It was really, really crazy. And then Curt ends up sending out the locker room, and then Braun starts taking some of the locker room stars out. And then from out of nowhere, Roman just spears Braun, and then Braun ends up getting up, and he lays Roman with a running power slam to end the segment. And this was a really good opening segment. I like the brawl that Joe and Roman and Braun were in, especially Strowman taking out the security and throwing that one security guy over the top rope. It was really awesome to see that. But I really enjoy these brawls that involves Strowman. But it was a good opening segment to Raw, just from that. And then we have the first match, Elias Samson versus Finn Balor in a no disqualification match. And before the match started, we have Elias boring us with his shitty singing, saying, "Oh, who wants to walk with Elias Samson? Nobody wants to walk with you. Everybody doesn't care about your shitty singing." So, but the match was pretty good. Really enjoyed it. You had both back and forth between Samson and Balor. He just had Elias just hitting Finn just with the target, because with the target arm, because Balor's arm was injured, and so Elias just went after the arm, after Finn's injured arm. And at the end of the match, you had Finn hitting the coup de grace on Elias, and then from out of nowhere, Bray Wyatt is in the ring, and he's Sister Abigail's Finn, and then it gives Elias Samson the win. So Elias Samson wins the match. But all in all, it was a good match. I really liked it. So, and then after that, we had Renee Young. For some reason, she was on Raw tonight when normally she's on SmackDown. It's very weird seeing Renee on Raw tonight, because we're so used to her being on SmackDown. So, but Renee was interviewing Kurt Angle, saying that Kurt Angle says that Jason is going to be a good single competitor, and Emma approaches Kurt. Emma says to Kurt, what does she have to do to get noticed? Because she's been underused. And I'm like, who gives a shit? Emma sucks, in my opinion. And she's like, oh yeah, maybe I'll date Jason. I'll date Jason. And then Kurt ends up saying to her that tonight she has a match with Nia Jax. So it was a little interview with Kurt. And then after that we had Enzo and Big Show backstage. Big Show says to Enzo if he really wants to go against having this rematch with Big Cass. And Enzo tells Big Show that he's got bigger plans to deal with Big Cass. So, and then you have Enzo coming out, cutting a promo about Big Cass, saying that Big Cass is an engine, that his engine is running empty, and Enzo says that he can't wait to run into Big Cass and take him out. And then it leads to the match, Big Cass versus Enzo rematch. Just Big Cass was dominating through the match. Enzo said, Enzo's just being a jobber now. But Big Cass got the win with the big boot on Enzo. So it was nothing really amazing in this. Then after the match, Big Cass just slaps Enzo, and then Big Show ends up coming out, gets in the ring. Big Cass tosses Enzo into Big Show, and then Big Cass just starts taking out Big Show. He took him out with 5 Empire elbows. Big Show was trying to get back up and dominate, and he only just gave 1 chop to Big Cass, but then it was just Big Cass just beating Big Show down. So, but it was okay after the match. And then we had Renee Young interviewing Alexa Bliss, and she interviews Alexa Bliss on who will take on her at SummerSlam, either Bayley or Sasha. And Alexa says tonight both Sasha and Bayley will take on them, only for Alexa to destroy one of the women who wins at SummerSlam. Who will face her at SummerSlam, and Alexa wins the match at SummerSlam. And she says tonight, only her will be the winner tonight. So it was a little interview, and Alexa looked pretty tonight. And then the next match was Nia Jax versus Emma. This was just a squash. This was just a squash match. This Nia Jax got the win. Emma really did nothing in the match. That's how much she's not good in the ring, and she sucks in the ring. So, but yeah, Nia Jax got the win. Squash match. And then we had Akira Tozawa being interviewed about Arya Daivari. He's gonna have a rematch with Daivari tonight. Titus O'Neil ends up coming and says that he went to Kurt Angle and he went to the WWE doctors and got Akira's match canceled. and because of his, because Titus says, oh, it's for his own good because of his injured arm, because of Tozawa's injured arm, and Akira says that he's going to the ring and that he is fine, that he wants to take on Daivari, and we see just Tozawa and Titus make their way into the ring. Titus is just really worried about Tozawa going into this match with his arm all taped up, and just Tozawa just has enough of it and pushes Titus, and then it goes to commercial. Then when Raw gets back from commercial, Akira Tozawa gets on the mic and tells Daivari to come out and face him, but Daivari doesn't come out. It's actually Neville who comes out, and Neville says to Akira that he will never stand toe to toe with him, and he ends up calling Tozawa pathetic, and then Tozawa just ends up taking out Neville. He hits a Santon from the top, and then Daivari ends up coming out. Daivari ends up coming out, hits Tozawa with a clothesline, and actually hits Neville with a clothesline also. And so now tomorrow night they announced tomorrow night on 205 Live it's going to be Neville versus Daivari tomorrow night on 205 Live. So it was okay. It was an okay little segment. And then after that we had Bayley and Sasha saying that nothing's going to change between them tonight. And Sasha says to Bayley that she wants to get her hands on Alexa at SummerSlam. Bayley ends up telling Sasha that she should focus on their match tonight. And Sasha tells Bayley, let's go out there and prove who was the best tonight. So it was a good little segment with Bayley and Sasha. So really enjoyed it. And then we had Renee Young interviewing Jason Jordan, which Jason Jordan was taking on the jobber known as Curt Hawkins tonight, and he goes on to say that he's not nervous heading into his first match or his single competition match, without Chad Gable. So, but it was a pretty good interview with Jason Jordan. I have to say they're going to be really high on Jason Jordan, and they're just going to make Chad Gable a jobber on SmackDown. So it really sucks. Really sucks that they had to break up American Alpha, because they were a very good tag team. So, and then after the interview with Jason Jordan, we saw Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins in the locker room. Seth is excited about teaming up tonight with Ambrose to take on Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas and The Miz. So it was a pretty good locker room segment with Ambrose and Rollins. And then we have the next match, Bayley versus Sasha Banks, number one contender to face Alexa for the Raw Women's title at SummerSlam. And this match should have been the main event, in my opinion. This would have been a good way to close out Raw with this if it was the main event. But this was a good match. It was a very enjoyable match. Of course, it's not going to be as good as their NXT matches, but it was just really enjoyable. You had Bayley working a little bit in the match, Sasha working on Bayley some parts of the match. Alexa was out there on commentary watching the match, and Bayley ended up winning the match with the roll up on Sasha, and Bayley is now the number one contender to face Alexa for the Raw Women's title at SummerSlam. And after the match, Alexa just comes in and both her and Bayley just have a stare down. So we're going to get Alexa versus Bayley again. So that puts Bayley right back in the title picture. So I know this is probably going to lead to Sasha, which it's been talked about a lot in articles, saying that Sasha is going to turn heel at SummerSlam. So I think this is pretty much setting that up. So, but all in all, it was a good match, very enjoyable. Although not, it will not compare to their NXT matches. So, but it was a good match. Then we have Renee Young interviewing Curt Hawkins, and then Hawkins goes out there. Hawkins gets on and it gets in that interview saying that he's gonna go out there and smack Jason Jordan. Yeah, okay. And then it was just that little interview with him. Then it led to Jason Jordan versus Curt Hawkins. We all know how this turned out. So do I need to explain who wins the match? Like I keep on saying, when Curt Hawkins is in, when you see a Curt Hawkins match, you know who's gonna win it. Yeah, Jason Jordan won the match. So, and then we had after that match, it was by the way, Jason Jordan, Curt Hawkins, just your typical Curt Hawkins match that you already know. And we had the Revival was being interviewed, saying they will handle this interview, and they said that they would handle themselves after being on Raw for months. They were actually in the ring when they gave this little interview, saying that they about how they were on Raw for months, saying how they sent New Day to SmackDown, and Gallows and Anderson ends up coming out, saying, "Oh, we beat New Day first," and they end up calling the Revival nerds. Of course, I'm like, when did Gallows and Anderson suddenly turn face? Because they're supposed to be heels, but I'm like, when did they just turn them face out of the blue? But it eventually led to the next match, the Revival versus Gallows and Anderson, and this was an entertaining match. Really enjoyed it between these guys, and Gallows and Anderson gave it all they got in the match, but the Revival got the win with the Shatter Machine. So they ended up getting the win. We saw Cesaro and Sheamus watching this match from the locker room, and then during the end of the match, the Hardys end up coming out and watching the end of the match. And then when the match was over, the Hardys ended up coming in and they started taking out the Revival, which was really cool. So all in all, it was a good match. It was a good match between the Revival and Gallows and Anderson. Then we had Miz and his Miz Taraj in the locker room. Miz is saying to them that they will go out there and beat down Seth and Dean, and they will go out there and beat them while they will stand tall. So it's just a little locker room segment with them. And then it eventually led to the main event, which was Rollins and Ambrose versus Miz, Curt, Axel, and Bo Dallas in a 2-on-3 handicap match. And this was a good match. This was a good main event, a very entertaining main event, where you had Rollins and Ambrose going at it with Miz, Axel, and Bo Dallas. And it was pretty much basically Rollins through parts of the match, just taking on Miz and Axel and Bo all at once. And Dean was just still there, just watching. And Dean actually came in halfway to the end of the match, and he just took out Miz, Axel, and Bo Dallas. And they got the win in the end, Rollins and Ambrose, which was awesome. And then after the match, he had just Seth, wanted to, he did the shield, with the shield thing where they put their fists out, and he wanted Ambrose to do it, and Ambrose didn't do it and just walked out of the ring. and he still doesn't trust Seth. So, and that's what ended the show, ended tonight's show. So, yeah, so it was a enjoyable Raw. It was a decent Raw tonight. So, but anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and tomorrow there's going to be 2 videos being uploaded. First video that I'll probably upload is my movie review of Good Burger, in honor of the film's 20th anniversary, which tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of the film. It's a childhood classic, and I want to review it. And this YouTuber named Donovan Berry requested me to review it, so I'm going to do that. And then, of course, my SmackDown review tomorrow. Hopefully, it's a better show than Battleground. So, but yeah. So until the Good Burger review tomorrow. So until those 2 videos, I'll see you all back here tomorrow.